Good morning, folks. Ryder here, and I'm at my beautiful apiary. Go ahead and turn this around, and we'll start by showing you my TP-Link Wi-Fi extender. Well, it's really just a router that's been run out here on an Ethernet cable, and I am getting some great connection speeds out here now, better than any extender. So we'll go through the hives. We got Alice and Bella here, and we have Jasper and Carlisle back there, and Jacob, and Charlie is now vacant. And you'll see that there's some natural wax frames in there, and they didn't survive the heat too well, but that's good that I experimented with that. What I'll probably be doing is using some sort of tacks to hold the wax up better. I don't want to put wires in there. You know, I can, and I'll probably experiment with some doing wiring, but I want it to be fully natural. I have a medium here that's got most of the frames in it, and I'm hoping to harvest some frames from out of some of the deeps that are not properly installed. I'm also going to be searching for shallow frames because I may have misplaced some shallow frames in some of these medium boxes, thinking they were mediums. So we have Rosalie and Esme here. We have little Bella, and we have little Eddie over there. And there are 4 swarms here. The 2 in the cardboard boxes, and 1 in little Bella, and 1 in little Eddie. And then I have Charlie, who is vacant because Charlie moved to Orinda. And then I have 2 more unnamed boxes over here. So these are ready to be set up. And I don't have enough lids, but I will make do for now. It is raining ever so lightly. You can see got gray skies here, but the last band of rain is going over us right now, according to my radar app. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to set up the smoker, and I will use the, let's see if I can slide this. There we go. I'll just focus this on the 2 swarms. That's probably what I'm going to start with first, is transferring swarms to boxes. So I'm going to set up the smoker, and I'm going to use a combination of things in this. I'm going to use some cup holders from Starbucks, and I'm also going to use these pellets that I got when I purchased a package of materials from what was the name of the company? I forget. But I got these pellets, and they work pretty well. Okay. I don't have an appointment until the 14th.
I know, but that's what it is, the 14th.
I'll check. I'll have to check on that, okay?
You don't know what time it is.
I do not know offhand. I do not know. All right, so I know there's like 8 artichokes. There you go. All right, so these little pellets, you just light them with a match here, and it's not too windy, but if it is a little bit too windy, I have my new solar melter box that I can just go inside. And I might have to do that. No, that's not wanting to light. There we go. So this is a Starbucks cup holder, and get the flame going on that. I feel like a Boy Scout right now. Just drop that in there. Drop another piece in there. Yep, and I almost put it out. Yeah, so you know what? I'm just gonna put some of the cup holder in here. You can see it's a little wet from the rain. It's okay. I just tear these up and stuff them in here. Get another piece of it going. And then I'll put a couple of these pellets in, just mix them in there. Yeah, normally I use a torch to get all this going, which works really well. However, my torch is out of propane, and so I can't use that. You can see there's some really good activity in those swarm captures over there. There's bees completely filling up the entrance on one of them. Oh, there, I just had a bee land on my ear. Now, I cut my hair, and part of the reason for cutting my hair is I don't have to worry about bees getting stuck in it anymore. All right, I'm gonna stuff a few more pieces of this in here, and then I'm gonna throw in a couple of those pellets. All right, that's going good. So I'll pop in one of these pellets right there and put in some more pieces, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put in another pellet on top. So there's 3 pellets in here and a little more than a whole cup holder set up. And it's smoking pretty darn good. I've also got a little bit of this cotton fiber. I'll put that in there, and I'm just going to stick 2 pellets right here on top, and hopefully those will get smoking when it's time. All right, so now it's time for me to put on my suit, and then we'll see what we can do about introducing one of these swarms to Charlie, and then another one to one of the other unnamed boxes. So I washed my suits really well. I ran them through the wash, and of course I took the hats off and I washed those by hand. So there shouldn't be the smell of venom on any of my clothing anymore. They're not 100% clean. There's still a little bit of dirt on them, but they are very scent free. I shouldn't have the smell of venom on them anymore. And that is a thing. If your suit smells like venom, bees will assume that you're the bad guy. So if you come in smelling clean, you're less likely to have bees angry with you. Well, look, that smoker is going fantastic. Can you see that? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and give this one some smoke. And this one some smoke too. And then I'm going to go ahead and zip up my suit. And I probably will wear gloves simply because the elastic in these, the elastic's not as tight as it used to be, and I don't want to get a bee up my sleeve. And I prefer not to wear gloves, but sometimes it's best. All right, so it shows we're about 10 minutes in, and I am not seeing any comments yet. Now these are pretty much brand new gloves. I picked up a whole kit for my daughter, and then it turns out that her partner does not want to have bees at his house. So I'm going ahead and using this equipment for myself, including the Hive that I purchased. All right. So I don't really need a beehive tool right now. I really only need the smoker. I'll go ahead and smoke this one again and just set it down below so the smoke continues to smoke up this area. And I'm going to look these over. That's not too bad. Yeah, so I've got 4 frames here of natural wax foundation. And I made these myself. And you can see there's a bee on it right now. And they seem pretty happy with it. What I'm probably going to do is a checkerboard pattern with this. So I'll open it up. Wow, they're definitely ready to go. Let's go ahead and I'll just set this right here off to the side. You can see that they are utilizing the syrup that I gave them, and all 4 frames are really quite well built out. I was wrong. I may need to use the Hive tool here. Let's see if this is a good setup for this. It's kind of rocking a little bit. Let me go check and see what kind of a view we have here. Yep, we have a view of everything that I want for this, so this is fine. I'm going to grab a Hive tool, and we'll start by removing the feeder. Most likely the queen won't be on the feeder, so that's a good thing. And I'm just going to take that feeder and put it right in here. And it's not 100% empty. I can feel a little weight in it. I'll try to get these bees to move out of the way so I don't crush any. And then I'll put this one frame up against it. And let's go ahead and start removing the frames. In this first frame I have right here, it's got some pollen and some nectar in it. You can see some colorful pollen in there and some nectar. I don't see a queen on this side. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over. Okay, so there's already some capped nectar there, and it looks pretty light, so it's probably just sugar syrup, and that's okay. I'm blowing on this large mound right here because that might be where the queen is. I'm going to brush them lightly. There, some fell off. Mostly they moved out of the way, and no, there's no queen there. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this frame in here. I don't see any brood here yet, but this is a very young swarm. So they may have a queen, they may not. She may be mated, she may not. So let's just keep going. And they've done a wonderful job of drawing this out. Look at all that new wax there. And I do not see a queen on this side. And I do not see one on this side. I do see just a ton of great wax production. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this one in there. Maybe give a blow here. So I don't see a queen anywhere on this frame either. All right. So I'm going to slide this in. I'm going to take one of these frames that's got the natural wax foundation that I created. Let's straighten it out a little bit. I'm going to slide that in between. What I'm doing is creating a checkerboard pattern. And then I'm going to slide this next one over. So every other frame is going to be a new blank frame. All right, again, tons of drawn out wax. There is no brood yet. And lots of pollen. Look at this, they're doing a wonderful job of collecting. So they've just really made this their new home. Unfortunately, the light is not that great, which is making it a little more challenging for me to spot the queen. Now, she may be out on a flight mating right now, or she may have gone out to mate and not come back. But really strong colony. If I have to introduce a queen from another colony, that's fine, I can do that. I'd really like to see her and know that she's here. I'd like to see that she's mated. But for right now, just giving them more space to work with. You saw that that space was completely maxed out. All right, so this frame here is one of the ones that didn't do too well. The sun kind of, the heat kind of messed it up, but it's still okay. It's going to give them something to work with, and I can always straighten it up a little bit more later. All right, so every other frame is blank. We are down to our last frame in here, and wow, they've really done a number on this one. This is what I would call overbuilt, and it is really full of nectar. Wow, it's quite heavy. I'm hoping not to squish any bees here. Absolutely full of nectar. And you can see this side's a little overbuilt. See how it sticks out further than the frame? That would be a little overbuilt. But that's okay. This is a very strong colony. They just don't have a laying queen yet. Now, that's not to say there isn't a queen in here, but she was most likely a virgin queen when she swarmed. And so we're just gonna have to wait on this. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish. I'm gonna put this in here, and this will finish our transfer. So I have 8 frames and a feeder in here. And now I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these bees. Interruption, but that is my assistant, and she enjoys learning about bees and helping me with the bees and working the camera and everything. So I look forward to her joining us. All right, so that's it for that hive. Let me finish transferring the rest of the bees. I'm going to look in the box though and see if there's a queen in here. I don't see her in here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to set this here. I'm not going to bump it. I'm just going to set it right on top here, and I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to let those bees just work their way in there. Now the hive is right next to where it was before, so it shouldn't be a whole lot of confusion for them. This next one is actually going to move further away. So this colony right here is going to go in this box over here. So let's see if we got the right angle on this. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring the box over and set it right next to it. Now, this is not natural wax foundation. These are recycled frames that I have that have plastic foundation. You can see that this one here, I harvested honey off of it most likely. And we're gonna do the same sort of thing. We're gonna do a checkerboard pattern. So let me start by giving this box a little smoke. And now that I've smoked it, I'm actually going to set the smoker over here by the hive. And then I'm just going to go ahead and bring the whole box over. Now, I am moving it about 6 feet, which is more than I should. However, sometimes there's a little bit of, you know. Okay, there we go. So you can see there's plenty of great activity in this hive as well. And once again, there is activity on all 4 frames, and there is a lot of bees down inside the feeders. So I am going to start transferring just like I did on the other one. So I'll start by putting the feeder off to the one side. Now this colony is not quite as strong as that one. It's still a good colony, but there's just not quite as many bees in it. So this feels like it's almost totally empty, but I'm still going to put it in here. And I squished a bee, and I feel bad about that, but it happens. Okay, so then I'll slide one of these frames over, and we're going to do the same thing. Go through one frame at a time and look for the queen and look for any other good signs in here. Well, this feels pretty heavy, and it's absolutely full of nectar and pollen, and a lot of colorful pollen in there. I wish the light was better today. And look at that, just beautiful orange and yellow pollen. And then the nectar in here is mostly clear, and that's probably because it's the sugar syrup that I fed them. So again, I'm not seeing a queen on this at all, and I'm not seeing any eggs or larvae or capped brood, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to give them some more room. They have definitely filled these frames out. So same setup as before. I'm going to do a checkerboard pattern. Every other frame is going to be blank. They've already stuck these frames together with propolis. All right, here, look at this, just tons of drawn out comb. There's some pollen in there, but that's all freshly drawn out comb. This was pretty much a blank frame when they got it. Now this one's a little bit, there was a little bit of drawn out comb on this already. I can see because it's a darker color. See how it's more brown from them walking over it. Okay, so again, no queen, no eggs. Nothing so far. So we're just going to go ahead and gently insert that into there. Slide over another blank frame and continue our checkerboard pattern. And we're going to go ahead and grab another frame. And I'm sorry I'm getting in front of the camera here. Now here they actually have brood. So there's a good queen in here. There's a ton of brood, ton of eggs. Okay, so let's look hard for the queen on this frame, and I see a bee with pollen on it. Yeah, this would be a frame that we could definitely see her on. Okay, look at all that pollen. Tons of pollen, great pattern on this. So there's pollen in the lower corner, nectar in the upper corners, and brood in the center. I see a ton of wet larvae. So this queen may have been the original queen that was already made. And is that her right there? No, I don't think so. kind of looks like her right there. No, it's not. All right. So I'm going to pull out one of these frames, stick it over here, give us some room to work with so I don't roll any bees. Just slide that in there. Now the next frame is actually drawn out, old stuff, and I don't see any problems with it. No wax moth or anything else. So I'm going to set that one right here. And I'm going to pull out one more frame. And this is the last frame. Clean this little bit of excess burr comb off of it. And let's see what's going on here. So they've attached this to the side of the box. All right. Hopefully we see a queen here. All right, this is foundationless, so I got to be careful the way I tip it because it doesn't have a foundation. All right, there's a lot of propolis on this, but I don't really need to clean it off today. And I'm not going to try because... Okay, so I do see larvae in here. I see brood, capped brood, larva. Wish I could spot the queen, but I don't really need to. I know she's here. So I am going to gently slide this frame in. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. So I have 8 in here as well. So I think that's what I'm going to leave this at. I'm going to leave it with 8. I'm going to knock all these bees in here. There we go, all but one. Come on, baby. Go home to your family. There we go. And I think I'll do the same thing with this box. You can see there's a bunch of bees still in this box. And it looks like they've been harvesting the wax off the wall of this box. How interesting is that? Huh. Well, maybe I'll take a macro shot of this later. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with the other one, and I'm just going to set this box over the top and let them join the family. All right, so that's it for 2 of the swarms that I captured. So now I have this box right here. Yeah, right there. You can see it. And I believe it will be little Bella that I will move into this one. So I'm going to pull out some frames to make room. And we're going to give little Bella some smoke. Smoker's still working good. Not bad. We've made it through 3 hives so far. Set this off to the side. And I really like the cardboard nukes for capturing swarms because they're light. You can hold them up in the tree or the bush. But I also really like these wooden nuke boxes because, well, they're not getting chewed up like the other one is. All right, take this off. And again, it looks like they've done a really good job of building out this hive. I believe this has a feeder in it as well. I usually put a feeder in all my swarm captures. Now, it looks like they've connected the inner cover to the frame. So there, yep, had some wax on that. Just going to set this in at an angle right now, and we'll deal with that a little bit more later. I'm going to pull out 2 more frames. Just move these frames out of the way. All right, there is no feeder in here. So this is just 5 frames. It's pretty tight. I'm going to be real careful removing it. Feel some rubbing, so that's not the best thing. All right, so they're built out on that side and they filled it up with some honey, and they've done the same thing here. Now there is some kind of wonky comb on this one, but again, I'm not worried about repairing that today. This is absolutely full of nectar and honey, and in this case it is all wild. It's all from flowers. So I am going to clean off this one chunk right here. There we go, because that one wasn't really surrounded by anything else, and I want to remove it before it becomes a problem. So I'm going to put this frame in, and I'm going to slide a blank frame over to it, remove this little chunk of wax that I broke out of there, and let's go ahead and grab another frame. And once again, we're going to do the checkerboard pattern, where every other frame is a frame from the nucleus, and then a frame that's blank. Wow. All right, so this is one of the frames that I'm going to want to recycle. I'm going to want to take this out of here. So you can see this is actually a medium frame. So rather than, okay, so I do see some drone larvae in here, but it might have been from a previous time. For right now, I'm going to put this in here. I'll do the recycling of this one, and I'll make a note of it with the app that I use to monitor my hives. And come on, girls. There we go. All right, so we're going to just continue our checkerboard pattern. Now, almost all the bees are off this, so I'm going to go ahead and get the rest off. There we go. Just one little bee left. There we go. All right. Good deal. So, got to remember to make a note that there is a medium frame in here that needs to be converted back into the proper use. All right. So here's another frame that's absolutely full of pollen and honey. You can see all the pollen in there, honey in all the upper corners. And I'm not seeing any brood yet, so far this could be queenless, and the amount of nectar that they're collecting in pollen tells me that they don't have anything else to do besides collect nectar and pollen. I do not see a queen on here, so we may need to introduce a queen to this hive. I am going to put one of the blank frames on the edge over here. Slide everything over and then slide it back about 1/4 of an inch. And then another blank frame next to this. Right there. And we still have 2 frames left that hopefully will have some activity. It looks like there's a queen working in here, but if not, that's okay. We'll just introduce a queen to this very healthy colony. Yeah, all I'm seeing is nectar and capped honey. So it is possible too that I could just marry these bees to another colony. I don't see any queen cups, so they haven't attempted to make a queen in here. So that could be that the queen either hasn't mated yet, or she just hasn't started laying yet, or that there is no queen. So many possibilities with beekeeping. All right, so we have room for one more frame, and that's what we have, is one more frame. And this is absolutely full of nectar. Just full of nectar. All they have to do is dehydrate this, and this will be good honey. All right. Well, all we can do is be hopeful that there is a queen that's either mated or is currently mating. And that's it for this one. So in every one of these cases, in all three of these cases, these colonies needed to be expanded because they were running out of room. And I'm just going to go ahead and take this box and set it right on top like I did before. And let those bees work their way down into their new home. All right, this is interesting. So this little chunk of wax that broke off did have a queen cup. So this may have been a swarm I collected that did not have a queen. There is nothing in this queen cup. There's nothing in it whatsoever. There's a tragic young lady that ended her days today. All right. So I'm going to scrape off this extra wax from this nuke box. Just going to put it in a ball, and that can be thrown into the solar melter. All right. So we've gone through 3 nukes. Let's go ahead and pat this one down now. This still has a lot of bees in it. I'm going to just continue to leave it here. I'm going to go ahead and check the one on Charlie. Wow, there's just still a ton of bees in here. Well, they'll figure it out on their own. Here's a queen cage I can use. So this is a queen cage, and I can just stick a chunk of sugar in here. And if I have a queen, I can put a queen in here and put her in one of these boxes. They'll chew out the sugar and they'll introduce her. So we're going to look in the other hives when we're doing other inspections, and if we find extra queens, that's what we'll do. We can add queens to Charlie and what was formerly Little Bella. This light blue one right here, we know there's a queen in there. We saw tons of larvae and tons of cap brood. So we know this is queen right. We didn't see the queen, but that we don't need to see the queen to know it's queen right because of the signs in there. All right, so we're gonna add the rest of these bees to their home. I just set that on there in case it starts raining. I got a little protection for the hive. And we're just gonna let them do their thing, give them some time. All right, well, as long as we're right here, Esme is right there. Let's see, I think I'm going to go all the way back over and start with Jasper. Jasper, we have attempted to requeen Jasper 5 times. And right now we don't know if we have a queen in Jasper or not. I'm just going to go ahead and leave the camera on that for a minute and see if I can stoke up my smoker a little bit. And the smoker's completely out, so I'm not spraying smoke, I'm just spraying ash. I'm going to go ahead and dump the ash into the compost pile. And I'm going to take a minute to get my smoker going again, folks. Alrighty, so I'm going to pop my gloves off and move a little bit away. And you can just watch Jasper. Actually, I'll put it on Jasper and Carlisle. And we'll see. So give me a few minutes to get my smoker going again, and we're going to go into Jasper. Oh, I also took a minute to hydrate with some black tea. And of course, you know what's in there. A little honey. Oh, bees is right. Well, now I've had two friends stop in today. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Okay. Let me get another sip of this delicious tea. It's still lukewarm. It's not horrible. But I'm going to get the smoker going again. Hi.
What's up, Eisenberg?
So if you want to grab the suit, it's over there, but I need to put the hood on it for you.
I'll grab you, no worries.
Eisenberg.
Yep. All you need is just the hat.
So Anna's here to tease me about my hair and hopefully assist at the same time.
Okay.
All right, so I'm doing the same thing of combining a couple of those pellets with the cup holder. And I think I'm going to use about 1.5 cup holders this time. And then 4 pellets. Now when I emptied that out, those pellets were completely gone. So apparently this method of combining them with the cup holders works very well. Well, I actually ended up with 2 whole cup holders in there and 4 pellets. So I'm just going to give Jasper a puff of smoke right now and set this down here. Here's that cotton stuff that I don't use too much because it doesn't work all that great. But I have to go grab my other bee suit and set it up so that my assistant doesn't get stung. She has not shaved her head like me. That's really weird. I am going to try going gloveless. That way Anna can use these gloves. If I have a problem, I will go ahead and put my old gloves on. Anna's getting her suit on right now. I put it together for her. And before I put my hood on, I'm going to take one more sip of this delicious tea. And here we go. So, we are hoping for a queen. And this has been the most challenging hive of the season. I have tried to requeen this hive 5 times. Okay, so I'm gonna pop off the inner cover, or the outer cover. That's right, this is one that has the cover that is an observation cover. So it's got these spots where I believe you can do feeding, and you can also you can observe the bees right through the glass. There's a piece of glass in it which needs a good cleaning. I'm gonna set that aside for right now. I may scrape that. All right, so there's not a lot of activity in this upper chamber at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that off, and this may go on a different hive. There is some bees on it, but there's not a whole lot of activity. I don't see any brood, I don't see any honey storage or nectar storage. I hate to tap them down, but I'm going to anyways. There we go. So I got most of them out of here. I'll just set it aside for right now. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and smoke this down again. And then I'm going to put my helping hands on the side of this box. And it's just a rack that holds frames. So I got plenty of room to work on the side here. So I'm just going to put them on the opposite side. And I'm going to start by moving these frames over if I can a little. And I think I will take out the edge frame. Now normally I try to take the second frame out first. So that I don't break a frame or a box. But they've done a really good job of gluing everything together here. So there's some capped honey and some nectar and some drawn out comb, but not a lot of activity. Get a couple frames out and set them on that, and then we'll just start sliding them over. Okay, same thing, lots of nectar, some capped honey, and I might even go 3 frames onto that holder. And the same thing, nectar and honey. So again, not a good sign. This hive may be just next to impossible to requeen. All right, I am going to clean off some of this wax. All the bees are staying down nice and low right now. There's not a lot of hostility or activity, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up a little bit, make it more manageable the next time I come into it. All right, next frame. Let's see what we got. And again, nectar and honey. Also, I really need to put this hive on a new bottom board and clean out this bottom board. It is a screened bottom board, so I can just pull out the screen, and you can see there's a little bit of signs of wax moth here, and there's some mildew, and you can see tons of wax that's been uncapped. Now, because there is signs of wax moth, I will not be putting this in the compost pile. I will actually be putting that into the trash, because if there is any wax moth larvae in there, I don't want to spread it around. And I'm seeing some stuff on the bottom I still don't like, so I probably will switch bottom boards on this hive today. And again, all I'm getting is nectar and honey. So these bees are probably still without a queen. At least they're without a laying queen right now. And I just squished a bee. And now see how I leave the smoker right there? I gotta tell you, it's choking me out a little bit, but it's also continually smoking the hive. This one's lighter. Hold on. This one's lighter. So there's a lot of pollen on this. You can see a nice, beautiful rainbow pollen. All kinds of different colors of pollen in there. So that's why that one's lighter. But I see brood on the next frame, folks. Now, whether this is part of my brood bump or if this is new brood, we'll find out in just a moment. This is new brood. So we've got a queen. Jasper is finally queen right. Look at that. Ow! Son of a gun. That's why we wear gloves. All right, so there's a queen cup on the bottom of that hatched out, and so there's a queen in here laying. I see another capped queen cup, which we may steal to put in another hive. I'm going to set that down and keep looking. And I'm also going to make sure I scrape this out completely. There, got it out. So I got it out pretty quick. Now I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think we're queen right here finally. I see a ton of pollen, a lot of nectar, but that was it, just that one frame of brood. So that may have actually been the frame that I put in here for the brood bump. But it looked like it was fresh brood on there. So I'll revisit that in just a minute. I'm going to continue to look at the rest of these. I could certainly steal honey from this hive to give to any colonies that are weak on honey, although I don't think I have a colony that's weak on honey anywhere in here. Tons of pollen, tons of nectar. That's one thing, when they don't have larvae and brood to tend to, they will spend more time foraging. And this hive is absolutely rich in resources. So I'm on the last frame now. And it is a mess. It is connected to the wall. It is so full of honey and nectar. Wow. It's almost all capped. This frame is actually harvestable, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to put this mess back in here. Now I do want to switch out this bottom board because it's kind of dirty, but it's going to be kind of heavy too. So maybe I'll take these frames. I'm going to push it back together. I'm going to inspect that one frame that had brood on it. And then I'm going to, I think I'm just going to switch to a completely new box. It'll be easier than trying to lift this box and put it on another bottom board. So which frame was it? Was it this one right here that had the brood on it? No, it's this last one. Okay, so this is the one I got stung on too. Let's take a look at it real good. I got a little bit better light right now. This brood looks new, but I don't see any eggs or wet larvae. So this may have just been the brood bump. That smoker is absolutely killing me. So I see one hatched out queen cell, I see a second hatched out queen cell, and I see well, that one's been torn apart as well. So I am going to assume that one of these three queens made it. Not mated, but made it. she's alive. She could be out breeding right now, or she could just be doing a really good job of hiding. And you see all the cracks and crevices on this because it is a foundationless frame. Yeah, I don't see any new laying, so we still may not have a queen here. Well, let's just hope that she's out mating right now. And what I'm going to do is I am going to bring over another box that I have. Well, I forgot I did all 3 of those transfers, so I don't have another box. This is disappointing. I'm just going to close this up and leave it alone. Check it again in a week. In a week from now, I will replace the bottom board and clean up all these frames. For right now, I just want to leave it alone. There may be a queen in here, and I certainly don't want to injure her since it has taken so many efforts to get this colony going. So I'm just going to slide all these back over, put these 3 frames back in. Yeah, I need to scrape propolis off this. I need to scrape extra wax off of this. There's just an abundance of mess in this hive. Okay. Yep, there we go. That smoker's killing me right now. All right, girls, move out of the way and I won't squish you. Yeah, definitely need some more room in this hive. Now I can see why I left that medium box on here. It's because everything here is full. But the reality is they're not going into that top box at all. So I'm not going to put it back on. I'm going to save that for another box that might need it. And I really need to clean off this propolis. This is going to be a pain in the butt to open up next time. But I'll make note of that. So Jasper needs a full-on cleaning and a new bottom board. So we'll just cross our fingers and hope that this 5th attempt at requeening has worked. That's it for now. I'm going to put this box back down on here so that these bees can make their way home. But I am going to probably use this to set up a honey super for one of these other hives. Let's go ahead and go into Carlisle. Start by smoking him. And get some smoke in the top. And this is a honey super. It's above a queen excluder, so I'm just going to pop that off. There's nothing I need to inspect in there at all. And it weighs a ton, so it's harvestable. Second sting of the day. All right, so this is a double deep setup. So this could be a very heavy box, and I'm trying to get away from double deep setups because it's just easier to handle a medium box. And the reality is that you only need a medium and a deep for enough of a brood chamber. I'm going to clean off this extra wax here on top since the bees aren't bothering me at all right now. And there's a bunch of propolis on this as well. And I'm just going to scrape that off and set it right here. And I'll either pick that up later for myself or I'll leave it for the bees, because the bees will recycle propolis. Now I think this is largely to do with the queen separator being on there. They're filling up the gaps. There are a couple teaspoons of propolis there. All right, let's go ahead and give this a little bit of smoke. Get the majority of these bees down, and then I'm going to move this box out of the way. And we're going to go into the bottom chamber first. Oh, that's heavy! All right. And our helping hands are over here. Hey, found a pair of my readers. Broke a pair of my readers. Ooh. All right, so there's a lot of propolis on this too, and you can still see there's the last little bits of the newspaper from when I did a marriage between a cutout and a swarm to make Carlisle. And just go ahead and put the helping hands right there. And this frame is completely blank. Move that out of the way. The next one is halfway drawn out. And if I recall correctly, the brood is in this box up here. Yeah, this is full of nectar and honey. And I've got a checkerboard pattern going on here. Now, part of the reason why there's a checkerboard pattern on this hive is because I have stolen from this hive so many times to start other hives. You know, folks, I'm going to put my gloves on. I've been stung twice already. And these bees are tapping me on my hands, so let me get my gloves on. All right, they're doing some funky drawing out of comb on this one, so I'm going to go ahead and knock these bees off. And I'm going to scrape off all this because you can see it's just really, they're drawing it out sideways. They've gone sideways. All right, so I was wrong. There's some brood in this bottom chamber, so here we go. Get to see what's going on with this brood right now. Come on, girls. And that is an absolutely beautiful pattern. In this case, there's some nectar in this upper corner here, but on the bottom two corners in this other upper corner is pollen. And then what a beautiful frame of brood. And I see wet larvae on the edges of it. And again, this one is just surrounded by pollen. So that's a great frame of brood right there. Go ahead and lower that gently down into there. And these bees are not happy, and I just squished one, and they're going to make them even more unhappy. So I'm really glad I put my gloves on. I can smell the venom. They are not happy with me. All right, this has a combination of drone brood and pollen. And on this side is just regular brood, a ton of it. Giving a good look to see if I can spot our queen. See if we can see Carla in this mess. Pollen, nectar, honey. Wow, tons of drones. There's got to be 100 drones on this frame. You can see all those larger fat bees. Those are drones. Those are the males. There's a ton of them in here. Sorry?
They're not happy at all.
No. No, well, as many times as I've come in here and split this hive, I think I've split this hive 4 times this year, which is one of the reasons why it's never swarmed, because I've stayed right on top of it. All right. We're going to go ahead and just put this bottom back together. It is a cool day, so it makes it a little more difficult to work with it because the propolis is harder. It's more firm. It's not soft. Okay, so I'm trying not to squish any more of you ladies. Come on. There you go. Move out of the way. Good girls. Okay, so there was what, only 1 frame of brood here? Yeah, they're a little excited right now. They're very excited right now. And that's probably part of the reason the smoker died down. We may have to take a break after this one. There we go. Smoker's going good again. So I'm going to go ahead and put these 2 frames back in. And what I'm going to do right now is inspect the next box. But I don't... It's kind of too high to inspect right there. Don't want the queen to go down into the bottom box. But I'm just going to have to take that risk because this box is up too high for me to really inspect up here very easily. Okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to temporarily set it. No, this thing's so heavy, I'm not temporarily doing anything. I'm moving it back to where it was. Ideally, I'd like to inspect this box without putting it back on there, but it's not in a good position for me to do it. It's a little too high up. And if the queen goes down into the bottom, that's fine. She's going to go down into the bottom. So I'm not going to smoke it though. Just going to go ahead and get in here right away as quick as I can to hopefully catch the queen on a frame so we can see her. Just set that blank frame off to the side. This is some nicely drawn out comb, really dark honey, which is unusual for springtime. That's some super dark honey. Next one's, they're drawing it out nicely. Well, this is why this box weighs so much. That is a solid frame of honey, and I'm actually going to move that over to the wall and leave it there. That's just going to move over here because it's so full of honey. It should be on the side. There's our checkerboard patterns continuing. This was a blank frame just a couple weeks ago, and you can see it's all drawn out. They're filling it up with honey. And here we go. We have reached the brood. So this next frame has a lot of brood on it, and then it also has honey in the upper corners. So it's a decent looking pattern, and that is wet larva and capped brood, and it is fresh. And there's more on the other side, the same sort of thing. This is a foundationless frame. You can see that they just made their own comb in an empty frame. Good pattern, very good pattern. So that was almost directly above that other frame that had brood in the bottom chamber. Right, this is foundationless, but it has wires in it, which gives it some extra strength. Nothing but honey on this. Honey and nectar, so I don't expect to see the queen on this. In fact, I don't expect to see the queen at all. She's probably already gone down into the bottom box. That's a lot of honey. And there's a queen cup, and there's our queen. There's our beautiful queen. See her? Right there with the little orange dot on her. So I'm happy. Carla's still alive. There is a succession cup right here, and I am going to remove it because I don't want her to be succeeded. I love her. She's doing a wonderful job. So I'm going to go ahead and put Carla back in here very carefully, and I'm going to seal this box up. So that was a treat. A lot of times she would have ran down to the bottom. If I had smoked it, she definitely would have gone down to the bottom. So I'm just going to put this back together and let them continue to do their wonderful job. All right, so now I'm going to put the queen excluder back on, and what that does is it prevents the queen from coming up into the honey supers. So she can only stay down here, and that way there won't be any brood in this chamber up here. I'll put this on right here. And I can go ahead and put this back on top, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go ahead and search it right here. I'm going to see if there's any honey I want to take out of this hive right now. I may harvest. Okay, so I've got this one frame in here that's kind of twisted. Maybe time to... So this is a natural foundation, but it has wires in it. This is the frame that's a little twisted. The board's a little bananaed. It's got the same thing. Natural wax foundation with wires in it. Then we have a plastic frame. And then we have a frame that's almost ready for harvesting. Yeah. Yeah, so it's only about 40% capped, so I'm going to leave it. It's not ready. We want it to be at least 70% capped. So the next one looks like it is 70% capped. No, again, about 40% capped. This side is more than 70% capped. So you can see When it's capped like that, that is honey. Where it's not capped, that one small percentage there's maybe like 15% of this board is not capped, that's still nectar, so it hasn't been dehydrated enough yet. This one, one side is 90% capped, the other side is 60% capped. So we're looking at maybe another week and I'll be able to harvest 3 or 4 frames from here. Every other frame is full. Every other frame. That's weird. I have another banana board in here. I'll slide these all back where they were. Put it back on here. So we'll make a note. In 1 week, we can probably harvest 4 frames from this hive. All right, that's it for Carla and Carlisle. And because there's so much room still in this bottom box that hasn't been filled up, I am not going to add another honey super to this. I am hopeful that my smoker is still going, and it is, because I'm going to use it to get these bees down. So there's no more crushing of Carla's baby girls today. It's inevitable that 1 or 2 bees are going to get crushed. We just want to avoid it as much as possible. So I'm going to put the inner cover lid back on and put the lid on this. And I'm going to take a break. Let these bees calm down for a bit. There, no squishies. I love it. All right, so when we come back, we're going to go into Jacob. So Jacob's right over here. So I'm going to take a hydration break and I'm going to give Carla and Carlisle a chance to calm down. And really need, I think I'm going to go ahead and set this down lower. I'm going to move the helping hands out of the way. And I'm going to take my glove off to grab this propolis. And I'll move that propolis up over here. And I'm going to take this box from Jasper and I'm going to set it sideways right down here. And hopefully these bees will climb onto their sisters. And that's my 3rd sting. So one of the reasons why I want to take a break is I want to go wash my hands. I want to put some vinegar on them and get rid of the smell of venom on me. So I'll come back in a little bit, get my smoker going again, and we will go into Jacob. One last thing, I'm going to give these bees a ramp to get from that medium frame back to their home. So I just took a chunk of 1 by and stuck it right onto the side of that medium super so that those bees can start getting back home. And you can see how Carlisle's a little bit upset right now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to come back in and do Jacob next. And then hopefully get to another 6 hives after that. 6 or 7. We still have little Eddie to check out too. Hope you enjoy just viewing the bees for right now. I will be back. Bob. Bob. Hey, Bob. Yeah, I was just gonna say, we still on for tomorrow? Tomorrow morning. Okay. Okay. I did it myself, Bob. No money. No money. Yep. I look younger. If I shave the mustache and the beard, I'll probably look like I'm 50 again. I'm good. I was just checking with you to see if you wanted to go tomorrow. You want to help with the patient? Okay. Okay. Let me know if you need help. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm actually screening my bees right now. Yeah, I did. I transferred 3 swarms into full-size boxes, and I've inspected 2 hives. I'm going to try to inspect a bunch more. I was just on a break, collecting eggs. 4. 4. Yeah. 2 of them lay an egg every day, and the other one lays in it. Sometimes she'll lay 3 eggs a week, sometimes she'll lay 0. Yeah, she's not the best performer, but that's okay. She's still a sweet girl. No, I'm not going to put her in a pot. All right, good talking to you, Bob. Just call me or message me when you're ready. All right, I am back. I am back and I'm going to get the smoker going again. Let's see what kind of power we have left on our phone. I cannot see right now. All right. So we are going to go into Jacob and check out Jacob. So let me clean this ashes out of here. You can see everything got all burnt up. I'm gonna get that out of there. And I don't put a lot of ashes in my compost pile, but it sure is convenient for getting rid of the ashes from the smoker. All right, so give me just a minute. Let me make sure I got a lighter on me. And I don't, so I gotta go grab my lighter. I'm glad I took that break because there's still a couple bees around here that are a little defensive, and you know, that's understandable. So we're going to go ahead and check Jacob, and then after we check Jacob, we're going to go ahead and start on the front row, or possibly check those two end boxes over there. But more likely we're going to go ahead and turn around and work on Bella and Alice. Yep, there's still some bees right now just hovering around my head, letting me know they're not happy with my behavior. All right, so I still got a couple cup holders left, and I still got a whole lot of these pellets. Smoker is smoking. So I got just one cup holder this time. We'll start by getting some smoke into Jacob's opening here. And I'll lift the lid and get some smoke in the top there. Now this is a Jerusalem artichoke. I don't mind leaving it there, but if ants start using it as a ladder, I'm going to remove it. So I got the good pliable gloves on again. Anna had to go to a job interview, so I don't have her to assist me. So I'm going to use the pliable gloves. My other gloves are so coated with honey and propolis, even though I've washed them and scrubbed them really good, I'm having difficulty getting it off, so I'll have to research a good way to clean those. All right, let's see. I'm gonna check this box real quick and see if the rest of these bees are out of here yet. Now, there's still several in here, but I am going to go ahead and seal this one up. I'm going to put a lid on it. right now I'm going to use this feeder as a lid. And yeah, there's still a ton of bees in here. I kind of wanted to use this as a place to set stuff, but I guess I'll just put it up on top of Carlisle. Okay, I'm going to open this up and then I'm going to smoke it. All right, so this is going to be a bit of a challenge because I put in some foundationless medium frames here, and what they've done is they've drawn them out, and they've drawn them out a little wonky. So let me start by pulling a couple frames off the edge. And I really need to put in some wax foundations into those. Yeah, so right here, go ahead and grab the camera real quick to show you what they've done. They have literally gone across the frame. So you can see there's honeycomb going in a diagonal angle across these frames. So I'm gonna have to cut it. And that is one of the drawbacks to putting in foundationless. Start by removing this one from the frame here. There we go. Okay. So I do have some rubber bands and I may utilize those. That's unfortunate. So I'm just going to set these off to the side. I'm going to keep pulling them out and they're going to fall apart, but you know what I'm going to do? So I'm just going to get some rubber bands and try to rubber band them back together. This is a mess. Yeah, unfortunately they went diagonal across everything. And it looks like there's a little bit of brood in here. Wow, what a just a mess. Just an absolute mess here. And there's a queen cup. It's all torn down. Yeah, this is what happens when you allow bees to just make their own comb. So there's two queen cups on there that are torn apart. Yeah, I'm not even sure what to do with this mess right now. This one frame that's got a lot of honey and brood on it, that's probably going to end up going to the chickens. So this frame is decent right here. However, it's got two things that came off sideways. So it's really interesting. Oh, this has got a foundation. That's why. But look at all that. They've just got a ton of sideways comb going on it. Oh, just a mess. And it's really well stuck down to the box above it, or below it. Just gonna move that out of the way. And I'll take this honey, set all this over here. We'll just deal with that mess later. All right, let's smoke these girls down and try to clean up some of this mess. There's one thing I can do is I can just feed this nectar back to this other hive right here. They're sitting here lapping it up. All right. Now let's get to our hive inspection. I'll start by making some room. And they've combined these frames down here too, so it's a pattern that this particular colony has for sure. And that frame is full of honey and pollen and nectar. Let me grab my helping hands, which I set over here. And this frame is just full of honey and pollen and nectar. Wow. They're doing a nice job of collecting. Right, so I'm going to clean off all this wax on the side where they started attaching it to the side. Just put that in here. These other bees can utilize it. Now the next frame over. Okay, so this is a medium frame. And you can see that they built all this extra comb onto the bottom of a medium frame. So I'm going to go ahead and knock these bees off, and I am going to reclaim this frame as a medium. So I'm going to actually shave off all that, and that will go into a, in fact, what I'm going to do with it right now is just put it on the top of this hive. Shake these bees off first. Okay, and I'm going to cut all that off. And I'm just going to throw it in this other hive over here. Now there's also happens to be a couple queen cups on that, so I don't feel bad at all that I removed that, because I don't want those queen cups in this hive. I do not want this hive to swarm. All right, so this is a medium frame that I can add to a box that needs medium frames in it. And I think there's one more of those in here. So I remember discussing that earlier. So this frame is blank. Just going to move that one over. The next one's got a lot of honey on it. Honey and nectar and a huge queen cup. So you can see that's a complete queen cup right there. Or it's not a queen cup, it is a queen cell. So I am going to set that out here. And they may be trying to requeen, or that may be a swarm cell, and it is on the bottom, so it is a swarm cell. We'll find out soon enough. We're going to keep looking to see if we find a queen, and there we go. There's brood. There's a good pattern of brood here. But I don't see any larvae or any eggs, so it could be that they are trying to requeen. Okay, I don't see a queen on this frame, so I'm just going to go ahead and slide it over. And we did set up a checkerboard pattern in here, so the next frame is probably going to be completely blank, and it is. We're still going to check it for a queen. No queen, just a blank frame. So the next one should have brood on it. And it does. And it's got tons of brood. Okay. Don't see her. Lots of bees festooning and falling off, but no queen. So we're going to continue to slide things over. So the next one should be blank as well. And it's not. This one's absolutely full of brood. So our queen is doing a good job in here. looking for her in the cracks and crevices. I don't see any other queen cups. So you know, we are going to take that. Most likely we're going to take that queen cell and transfer it to one of those swarms. You know, there's tons of pollen on here. There's tons of brood. Just look at this pollen. Look at the colors of that pollen. Every color of the rainbow practically. A little green, a little yellow, a little red, a little orange. No blue or purple, but that's okay. And I am not seeing our queen. So they may be trying to replace the queen. I hesitate to pull that queen cup out of here because I'm not seeing a queen, and I'm also not seeing any wet larvae. So all the brood that I see in here is capped. Right, so I got a lot of wax buildup on the sides of this one too. So these bees are a little bit messy. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put this back together. I'm going to put one of these frames of solid honey and nectar here on the edge. Then I'm going to slide this back over. I'm going to keep on sliding them over. Okay, put a blank frame in here. This one that was attached to the wall, I'm putting in one place in, so it's not attached to the wall anymore. I'm going to take this one and spin it around. That's the one with the queen cup on it, so I'm leaving this one. And actually I want to put that closer to the center. Yeah, I'm going to put that one right here. So I want it closer to the center for the warmth of the colony. This is actually where it was. I'll put that right there, put this blank one over, and now I need another blank frame to fill in the one that I took out because that medium came out of here. So I'm going to go ahead and slide a blank frame in right there. And then we can remove our helping hands. And then we're going to put our medium box back on there. Okay, so we're going to continue to clean this up. What I really need to clean this up is I need a container to put some of this in, and I need the rubber bands to fix them too. So I will start by putting that medium frame that was theirs. You can see there's 2 more queen cups. So I'll go ahead. Well, I'm going to clean off the excess wax on this. And I'm going to clean off the excess propolis on this. And it's okay if the propolis falls inside the hive because they will reuse it. And the reason I remove this, once again, is for ease of management of the hive. You don't need that in there. So I'm going to put this, I'm also going to break down these 2 queen cups. And I'm going to put this over the edge because it's full of honey, full of capped honey. I'm going to clean off this propolis on the side of the box. And we'll slide that over. And now this is the first one. Okay, so I need to get something to put this honey in. And I'll be right back. I'm going to grab something to put that honey in. right, I'm back with the tray to put the honey in, and I also have a couple rubber bands for hopefully putting some of these frames back together. We'll start with some of this honey. You know, I really should switch out gloves so I don't get these all honeyed up. Right, check the phone again, see if there's any comments. Yep, bees are definitely putting in the work. All right, so putting on my older gloves that are already coated with honey and stuff. And of course, to do rubber banding, I pretty much have to pull the gloves off. But things have calmed down around here. There's still a couple bees that are letting me know they're not happy. And that's all right. I get it. I'd be unhappy too if somebody came in my house and just made a mess of it. So I'm going to start by getting this sideways comb off of this one. And what I'll probably do is just put this pan back in here on top for them to still utilize it. And I'll put another medium cover on it. All right, so here we go. We got 2 frames cleaned up. Now let's see, this one, I think what I'll do, I'm going to take this one chunk out of here. And then this one here, I'm going to try to angle it back over and use rubber bands on it. So I'm just going to disconnect 2 parts of it, and there we go. Moved it right back into place where I want it. Let's see if I can do a rubber band without taking off my glove. And did it break or did it just fly away? I have no idea. That sucked. All right, so I got to take off my glove. Just set my helping hands up here. And I'm going to take off one glove, grab one rubber band, I'm going to slide this rubber band over till it holds that piece of wax. Okay, so pretty simple. Just kind of bent it back into place, got it centered up in there, and I'm going to go ahead and put that back down in the hive. And there's a little bit of it that needs to be pressed back into place more. So I'm going to just shave that away a little bit. There we go. There, so I've straightened that out as best I can for now. So let's go ahead and do another one. Put my glove back on. All right, so I think we can fix this one as well. I'm going to go ahead and take this piece out completely. This one on the end I'm not going to take out. I think that's not horribly angled. Okay, and then this piece here, okay, I'm going to try to rubber band that one in. So off with the glove again, take the risk of getting stung. There we go, I got a rubber band holding that one in place. Now the next one's kind of just bulging a little bit on this one side, and then on the other side it's got some funky stuff going on. So let's see what we can do as far as shaping that up a little bit. I'm just going to cut it off at the top and kind of squish it over. There, I've kind of married those two pieces together. You know, I'm going to just leave this next one. I'm happy with that. I'm making good progress here. It's not 100% fixed, but it certainly is better than it was. So I'm going to go ahead and put that one back in. Yeah, I just kind of pushed that one over into place where it was bulging. I think I did all right. Now the last one is a mess. This is a serious mess. I'm going to start by removing this big chunk. And I'm going to leave those others for right now. And what I'm going to do is just press it up against the other frame. That straightened it out a little bit. I'm going to cut this one free here at the top and push it over. And that straightened it out. All right. That's pretty good. I think hopefully they'll get things in line. Now if I have one medium that has a backer on it, that has a foundation on it, that might be all I need to solve this problem. So I'm going to go look real quick. I think I have one over here. Nope, I do not have any more medium frames. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to back up a little bit here. I'm going to pull out this end one that was completely full of honey. Put this over here on this side, and then I'm going to slide everything that way. Okay. There, so hopefully that straightens those out. And then what I'll do is put in these 5 blanks for right now, but I'm going to make a note that I need to come in here and put in wax foundations, but I need to make some more wax foundations. I'm going to clean off all this extra wax. It might be causing any confusion about how they should build. All right, plenty of notes that need to be taken and recorded today in my app, my bee management app. So that's it for this hive. We know we got a queen in there. We know that they might be trying to succeed her. So before I do anything else with this, I'm actually going to take this honey that's theirs, put it back in here. Take this piece of comb that's got a bunch of nectar in it and a bunch of bees on it and set that back in there. I'm going to scoop up all this good nectar and wax and just drop it in here. And the bees will be able to recycle this. So I'm going to put an empty medium box on top of this. what I'm doing right here is super temporary. It's just allowing them to recycle the honey that was in there. And you know, a lot of times I would go ahead and harvest that honey, but it's not honey yet. It's still just nectar. It wasn't capped. So I'm gonna let them recycle it. So I'm gonna go ahead pull this propolis off of here, add it to my ball of propolis. On a warmer day, it balls up really nice, but that's okay. And there's bees over here already harvesting this propolis. So just a ball. Okay, so we'll put our inner cover lid on here. And now this hive looks like it's a lot more than it really is, because all it really is right now, you know, I'm not going to put the inner cover lid on this. And here's why. This lid is covered with nectar right now. And I don't want that all in the top there. I'm just going to go ahead and put this cover on like that. It doesn't need an inner cover today. And this is super temporary. In about a week, I'll go ahead and pull all that back out of there, re-inspect this hive, see if they've requeened. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this this medium frame that there were still bees on last time I checked. And there's very few bees left on it. There's like one frame of bees in here now. You know, I'm just going to bounce this box on top of this hive, and hopefully they'll be able to crawl down inside. There we go. That's most of them. I'm taking this box away. All right. So we have done pretty much everything in this back row again, except for over there on the end. So, you know, I really want to get into Bella and Alice and Rosalie and Esme today, but I'm probably gonna have to take a lunch break before I do that. I'm gonna go ahead and check this one real quick. I would like to be done with this whole back row. So we're gonna get some smoke in here. So this was a split. I believe this was a split from Carlisle. Now, unfortunately, this stand doesn't really allow me room for the helping hands. Wow, good thing we're checking this. That's pretty awesome. So they're coming out the top. So this probably needs a box added to it. Now the rule is, if there is 7 frames fully covered, that it's time to add another box. And the fact that there's bees coming out the top right here, right now, tells me that we probably need to add another box, that they're ready to expand. And if we don't, they'll end up swarming. I'm going to switch to a different hive tool. Oh, yeah, this inner lid is stuck, and it's lifting frames right now. Oh, it's lifting the syrup feeder. Yeah, it lifted the syrup feeder. Interesting. Wow. Wow, what a mess. What a mess. All right, girls. We'll just set that aside for right now. Wow. Okay, so I need another container for honey again. So I'm only seeing activity on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames. So we don't necessarily need a new box, but what we do need to do is remove this syrup feeder and put some frames in here. So this frame on the end, Wow. That has something really bizarre looking in it. Looked like wax moth. This also looks like old pollen. I think I'm going to pull this frame. I just don't like it. So it had something that looked like wax moth on it. It also has a little bit of mold on it. And usually the bees will clean that up, but this pollen is really of no value anymore. And even though it's drawn out a little bit, I'm just going to get rid of this frame. I'll redo this frame. I don't like it. And that totally looks like wax moth. Not really sure what it is, to be exactly sure, but it looks too much like wax moth. So I am going to burn that. Also, there is a plastic frame in here that's green in color. And what that is for drone brood. It's got larger cells for drones. All right, so here's a frame that's partially drawn out. Nothing too exciting on that one. What we're hoping for to see is some brood, maybe a queen. So let's just keep on inspecting it. Lots of great drawn out comb here. And there's our queen. There's our queen right there. See her? She's got a little pink dot on her. So there's our queen. She looks good and healthy. She's definitely mated. I don't see any larvae, but there's most likely eggs in here, so I'm going to gently put this back in here. There's our queen. So we know we're queen right. So I'm going to keep sliding these frames over. And there's her brood. There's all her brood. She's doing a great job. I am going to just set this frame in here for right now, and I'm going to go get another container. I'm going to do the same thing I did with the collecting of the honey to give back to them. So I'm going to go grab another container real quick. Made the mistake of not putting it on airplane mode, just leaving the Wi-Fi on and shutting the cellular off. My apologies. I'm actually pretty pleased with this stream so far today. But what we're going to do is we're going to clean off this this excess wax and put it in a pan, and we're going to do the same thing we did with that last hive. What we're going to do is just set it on top here for them to recycle it. So right here on this frame that I was just on, there's a couple globs, and I'm just going to scrape those off, put them in the pan, hopefully not harm too many bees in the process. See, they're already cleaning it up, but I want to get it all off of there. Okay, and then this next frame I'm probably going to have to knock all the bees off of to clean it up really well. Okay, and there's a lot of brood on this frame. And some of it is drone brood, and that's fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just hold the frame and with my own hand, hit my own hand. There we go. So I got most of them off of there. I'm going to scrape away this bit of malformed burr comb, I guess you would call it. Okay, all this brood is drone brood. So I'm tempted to take this over and just feed it to the chickens, but there's so much pollen. There's a ton of drone brood on this thing. Now I'm going to leave it in here. I am going to leave it in here. And maybe next time I come in here, get rid of it. Okay, let's see if the smoker's still going. Yeah, smoker's still going, so I'm going to smoke them down off of this. And get those, that little bit. All right. Next frame is full of brood, but it is a medium, so I'm kind of upset with myself here. Because here's an example of where I used a medium frame and they went ahead and built it out to a full-size frame. So I have to leave it in here for right now because I don't want to take away from this colony that many eggs, but I'm hoping that she'll stop laying in that section. And now I'm going to go ahead and clean up all of this burr comb here. And I'm going to move this frame over and I'll check it. Now, the reason why I have medium frames in there sometimes could be that it was a brood bump. This doesn't need any more of a brood bump. This colony is doing so well. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down in here. And then I'm going to pull out this syrup feeder, which is pretty much empty. Yeah, it's empty. And I'm going to scrape off all of this honey, nectar, etc. and put it in a pan to give back to them. Just a mess. You know, it's not their fault. They're just doing what they want to do. It's not really my fault either that this has happened. I know the queen's not over here, so I'm just cleaning this up best I can. And I know I'm not hurting her. So I'm going to take this feeder and I'm going to move it away. It's not going back in here. Okay, so I'm going to set it right next to it though, so they have a way to get back home. And I'm going to put in 3 blank frames here. And you know, I am going to checkerboard it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in a frame on the end. I'm going to slide this frame of brood over. I'm going to put it in another blank frame. Slide another frame of brood over. And I'm going to put it in another blank frame. So right now they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames. So they're right next to being ready to have a new box, but they're not quite there. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this all the way I like it. And then I'm going to take this pan, set it right here on top. Like that. And I'm going to scrape all this nectar and honey in here. And they'll be able to recycle this. And this is allowed. You're allowed to recycle honey inside the box like this. You don't want to be feeding out in the open. That can cause robbing situations, and it can also cause problems with disease being spread around. So again, I'm going to leave this inner lid off, and I'm going to go get another medium box to close this up. All right, so I'm going to carefully put this on here, trying to crush as few bees as possible. There we go. I think we did it without any crushing. And there was a little bit of honey left over from the other colony. So I'm gonna put that in here as well. Just gonna give them a bunch of free honey and nectar. And again, I'm trying to crush as few bees as possible, but unfortunately it's just not possible to not injure any bees when you're dealing with this much honey and nectar. So I'm just giving this all to these bees, and they'll make good use of that. Now I have to come back in here within a week and pull this out and either add new frames to this or at least remove this, so that they don't start building on the lid. I'm going to try to move this piece here. So I'm actually going to put 2 frames in here right now. I'm hoping they don't build on this one, but it's got a lot of nectar on it. And then I'm going to put in another one that they can possibly start building on if they need to. At least she knows she's got some more room to work up here. I slide that over anymore. Yeah, that's it. I'm just putting those 2 in there. And then I'm not going to put an inner cover on this. No, because I actually want to notch that one. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on here. So these 2 hives, look out girls, there you go. These 2 hives, Jacob and the unnamed hive, I will have to go back into those in 1 week and clear out that honey feeding and see if they need more medium frames added to them. So let me get these nasty gloves off. And then Carlisle, we need to harvest from Carlisle. And so right now we have 5 colonies left to check. We have Alice, Bella, Rosalie, and Esme to check. And then we also have this blank one here that was a cutout. And we're going to check that one as well. So I'm going to take a break, but before I do that, I'm going to see if I can seal up these 2 hives. See if all the bees are out of the nukes yet. So let's go ahead. And they are. They're pretty much all done. Now this is the one, I told you, they're literally taking the wax off the waxed wall there. So that tells you these are really made for a temporary hive, and shouldn't have left these bees in here this long. They were probably in here a little over a week. So now we can go ahead and use one of those inner covers. In fact, I think I'll just use this one right here. this one right here, it's already notched. I'll put that on there and cover it up. And then we'll be checking on this one in a week to see if it's queen right. So we have 4 new boxes that need names. And we're gonna have to do that. We'll name these 4 boxes, and we'll go ahead and check on them all in just a little bit, like a week or less. Okay, so there we go. Just cleaning them up. Right on. Almost all the bees off of this one. And we're going to go ahead and put an inner cover on this one. I do want to notch this inner cover, but that's okay. For right now, I'm going to use it. I just want to get this box sealed up. I want everything to be sealed up before I take my lunch. So there's that. And I believe I have one more lid. I'm not going to wait for the telescoping. I'm just going to go ahead and cover that up right now with that. Okay, that's it. I'm going to take a break. I think I deserve one. I'm going to go feed this to the chickens because there's some larvae in it, and they'll be happy with that. And that way I won't be leaving it out here to create a robbing situation. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I still have one nuke, which is my newest. This one just came over the fence less than a week ago. And we managed to transfer 3 swarms, 1, 2, and Charlie is 3, from nucleuses, from swarms. And these are the only 4 left to inspect, as well as the cutout in the corner. So did more than half of them today. And I hope I've solved a lot of problems. I think I have. I also have a good idea what I need to do. And, this is really weird. There's some other kind of bug on here. It's not varroa mite. I'm absolutely going to just burn that. So I'm going to make a little fire and burn that. All right. That's it for now. Hope you found this entertaining or educational. Ryder out.